Hello and welcome to another episode of Transcontinental Overload. I'm Stephanie, your host in sunny Austin, Texas. My guest today is Oscar Mariani, a software engineer from Uruguay who left his home country at the age of 18 and moved to the US without money or a job, but big dreams. And he felt that he wasn't going to be able to fulfill them if he stayed in Uruguay. While he was working in a restaurant in New York, he met his Portuguese wife Anna, and they eventually ended up living and studying in England. And after just over 10 years in the UK, they decided to up sticks and go back to Uruguay. And that is where they live now with their 2 young children. I found Oscar's story very inspiring. And one of the first things he told me was that he's always been extremely driven and ambitious. And you'll definitely get that sense of energy and determination to follow through with his plans in our conversation. But what really touched me is his sense of family and how no matter where you are or what happens, family comes first. We recorded this interview a few weeks ago, and I was missing my own family in Europe so much that Oscar's words really hit home. At the time, we still had a glimmer of hope that we might be able to see our families in Europe over Christmas. But in the meantime, several countries have gone into lockdown and it's just looking bleaker and bleaker every day. And so we decided to just not even think about navigating a trip like that. It's hard, but I know we're not the only ones. It's hard for everybody this year. And I know that even families whose members live closer to each other won't be able to see each other and spend time together for Christmas. So anyway, I don't really want to think about that now. I want to focus on positivity, and Oscar's story is definitely a good example of that. So let's hear Oscar's story. Thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to Transcontinental Overload.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to do it. As I mentioned before, it's the first time.
Oh, that's very exciting. I'm honored. I'm pretty new to this too, so it's not like I've been doing this for very long. It's been about 7 months now. And what I really like most about it is meeting new people, and that includes you.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. Right now, you're in Uruguay.
I am.
Where you originally started. So why don't you give us your story, background?
All right. Yeah, let's do that. This is a podcast, so I haven't done my hair today. Should be all right. No video.
You're fine. I am not. Yeah, there's no video. That's the nice. It's the nice thing about it. It's like there's so much added pressure. I did an interview once, or they recorded me and then they said after, is it okay if I put this on YouTube, because I'm starting to do this? And I was like, I wish you told me this before.
Yeah.
I'm
wear a sports coat.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that to you.
Right. I was born in Uruguay. I was actually, I don't know how much you know about Uruguay. It's a small country. I was born up north, not in the capital. But then very young age, my parents moved back to Montevideo, the capital. And that's where I grew up. Went to school, high school. I've got 2 brothers, 1 sister, all younger than me. I was around 17 when I decided to leave. It actually happened when I became 18. I got my passport and I got on a plane up to the US.
Very exciting. So did you know you were gonna, was that like you were 17 and you were like, I think I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna go somewhere else? Or do you think there was a build up to it? Did you kind of feel like that when you were younger?
There was definitely a build up. It was it's a combination of things. I've always been very driven. I dream big. It sounds weird, but I do. I really, my mind goes to places, and I am very, very determined, and I've always been like that. At the time, my family was okay, but the region and the country was sort of sinking in this recession.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty big. I'm talking about early 2000s, 2001, 2002. There was a big recession in Argentina, and then it sort of hit Uruguay at the same time. So it meant the country was going through a really tough time, the toughest I've lived through. And that meant, obviously, you looked around and there weren't very many opportunities. The whole thing was very grey, very sad. People were depressed.
Yeah, I can imagine for someone who has a lot of determination and kind of drive and ideas, that it can be quite crushing to think, I will not be able to do what I want to do.
That's exactly it. My family was not doing very well. The country was not doing well at all. And I was dreaming big, and I thought this is not going to happen. I know this all sounds very, very brave. People tell me how could. I was very young and naive. I didn't know what I was doing.
Sometimes it's much better to be like that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I just probably today I wouldn't make the same decision.
Yeah.
It's just I was, as I said, I was 17 when I decided.
Yeah, what have you got to lose, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you have like a plan of what it was you wanted to do?
No, not at all.
You just knew you had to leave in order to.
I had to leave. I didn't even have the money to buy the plane ticket, to be honest. It was a process. It was a few months where I was even looking for a job here in Montevideo, trying to. I was thinking, I need to get a job. I need to get my hands onto some money and buy a plane ticket. It was that sort of mentality. And then I was thinking, look, I'll go somewhere. I didn't even mind where. I'll go somewhere. I'll do something. I trust myself. Again, being very young, very naive. So I did. I ended up in the US. I working as a bartender first, and then a waiter in this Spanish restaurant, pretty fancy Spanish restaurant.
Where were you in the US?
Newark, New Jersey, which is an interesting area. I was in an area called the Ironbound, full of. I think the story goes. A few decades ago, the immigration was mainly from Portugal and Spain. So if you look at the older businesses and restaurants, they're Portuguese and Spanish, and the buildings and the houses. But recently, over the past couple of decades, the immigration had turned to sort of Ecuador, Brazil, lots of Brazilians, lots of Ecuadorians, lots of Mexicans. So it was changing, and you were getting lots of restaurants with really good food, and you could go to the train station and you could be in Manhattan in about 20 minutes, I think. So you had that proximity to the big city.
And New York is it's what everyone dreams of.
So it was an interesting time of my life. As I said, I was very young, very naive. I was there, didn't really know what I was doing. I wanted to go to university, but I didn't have the means to do so. Pretty quickly, I managed to get myself to a position where I was earning quite a bit of money. I was working hard. I was working a lot. I'm talking about 12, 13, 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, working very, very hard. I was also very young, I had lots of energy.
You could do it, yeah.
So I could do it, and that meant I could also, end my day of work and go down to the pub and meet new friends, and there's such an interesting combination of all of these nationalities I mentioned before, that and so many people in similar situations. It was really interesting. So for a while, I was only doing that. Now, my family wasn't doing very well in terms of economically speaking. So they, my father had decided to move to the US as well, and he spent there a couple of years only, and then he moved back. And he was thinking about taking all of my family to the US. And at the time, I was 18, 19 years old, and I thought, that doesn't sound right. It's, that really doesn't. But I needed to propose a solution to this problem. And what I thought of was, I'll pay off the debts we've got. I'll sort things out. And I actually did.
Wow, that's amazing. At such a young age too. That's like
yeah. So we worked hard, paid some debts off, and my father finally moved back to Uruguay. At that point, I had been in the US for a couple of years. I still had no real plan. But now I was feeling lonely. My father had left. Don't get me wrong, the first 6 months to 1 year in the US was really, really hard. I was very not used to any of the things that sort of happened. But then I got used to it, and then I was enjoying it. But then after a couple of years, then it hit me, and I was struggling, and I was 20 years old, and I wanted to find solutions for my problems. By then, I felt like it had been a very, very long time. I was speaking in English all day or Spanish, but not with Uruguayans. So my accent was changing. I was no longer in contact with a lot of people that were very important for me before. Good friend of mine once said, what happens is you've got so many things in your head, so many new contacts and things going on, and painful links that you sort of start erasing some of the others. I got to the point where I wouldn't remember some of the colleagues from high school. I was questioning already whether I belonged to Uruguay or I no longer did. And this was only 3 years into my journey. So imagine.
Yeah.
So all of this is going on in my mind, and I don't know what to do at this point. I really don't know what to do. I'm not getting any younger, though I was 21. Some of the people I had gone to high school with were sort of graduating or on track to graduate. Lives were beginning to sort of take shape, and me, there I was. I knew a lot of people. I had lots of friends from different countries. I was doing very cool things, but well, where was I on my the bigger picture, the bigger plans? I struggled for a bit. I did. At some point around this time, I met the person that's my wife today. We were working together in the same restaurant. She was going to university. I would say in the US they say college. She was going in Manhattan to be a degree in psychology. So I remember the first day she comes to the restaurant. She's the first day at work, and I go over there, I say hello, I introduce myself. I really liked her from day one. And then she didn't really talk to me much. And a couple of years went by, a year and a half at least, until we actually started talking, and we became friends, and we started dating. She's from Portugal. She moved to the US the same age I did, 18. We met. She didn't really talk to me much. A year and a half later, she suddenly starts talking to me, and we start seeing each other, and we start dating. And this is when things, for the first time, start falling into place. And it sounds like, oh, you're saying this because she's going to be listening to this afterwards. But this is very much how it happened. I think about 6 months later, we were living together. And a year and a half after we got married, I was 23 when we got married. So was she. And we're still married. And we've got 2 lovely kids. So it's kind of working. We're 36 today.
And then, you both two people in a strange city in a different country. There are certain things that were, shared experience.
Yep.
But at that point, you weren't studying anything, rather you were still working.
No, she had a degree in psychology. At the time, we came up with a plan. We said, okay, you need to finish your degree. So we sort of focused our energies towards achieving that. Energy and money, of course. And And then we elaborated this plan where we would spend some time in Uruguay. We celebrated our wedding in Uruguay. We had an amazing ceremony and party. It was like getting together again with really important people in my life, and a really interesting number of people flew over from Portugal. It was amazing. I could talk about that wedding for an hour probably. But the plan was, let's spend some time in Uruguay. I want you to know where I come from. I also wanted to know where I came from, because at the time, you know this. You spent a few years abroad. You're only like 23. Sort of go back. You're imagining a different reality. You don't come from the place you've pictured on your mind. You come from a different place, and going back and digesting all of this, and
bringing another person who sees you, and she got to know you in a different place. In order to get to know someone properly, it's almost like you need to see them in those different environments. Yeah, it makes sense.
That was the idea. So we spent a couple of months in Uruguay, and then we flew over to Portugal, to Lisbon. And we ended up spending probably somewhere close to a year in Lisbon.
So you kind of did the same thing. So you got to know her in her home country as well. I love that.
Yes, so nice. It was great. I got to. I could speak Portuguese at the time. My Portuguese is not brilliant, but I get by. But at the time, I remember I managed to get to a level where I could watch television, listen to the radio, and understand what was going on. Sit around the table and understand the conversation that is flowing around. That was great. I love Portugal. Portugal is an unbelievable country. So we spent about a year there. Fell in love with the country, to be honest. Got to meet 99% of her family and everyone that was someone to her. But obviously we knew both Uruguay and Portugal were just temporary places we had to be, but that was not the plan.
What made you think that? Why did you not feel like this is where we're going to settle?
Because let me rewind. Go back to the plan. The plan was let's visit each other's country, and then let's go somewhere where I can get my university degree, and you can get a master's degree, and we can build a future. And we thought at the time, well, the main barrier I see here is the language. And my Portuguese wasn't good enough to get a university in Lisbon, and her Spanish wasn't good enough to get a master's degree in Uruguay. Also, we wanted strong economy, and at the time, Anna's sister was living in Southampton, England. So we thought, yeah, why not? That's we were thinking London initially, but then we went to Southampton.
It has a university.
Exactly, we did some research. It's got actually 2 universities. It's very close to London as well. 2 universities. You cannot go much further south in England, so the weather is going to be as good as it gets.
Yeah.
So it made sense. We got to spend some time with Anna's sister, which was fantastic. She's lovely. And then, so we sort of settled down, and the plan was from day one, well, we need to get some money, we need to go to university. We had some savings, of course. It was very expensive. It was very, very challenging, more so than I ever expected.
So you'd never been to the UK before that?
No, I hadn't.
Was that okay? And so what were your kind of ideas? What did you think the place was going to be like? Was it very like you expected, or were you just completely blown away by how different it was?
I think in a way it was how I expected it. Tidy, organized. The rules are followed and respected. The cues, oh my God, the cues are so important. Yet some things probably caught my attention, others not so much. I love the place. I really loved it from day one. It was amazing. The dynamic, getting used to the dynamic is different. Things happen very early. Beer is very important.
Drinking culture is definitely something to get used to. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember, again, my first job in England was in this small, lovely Spanish restaurant. The manager of the place, the son of the owner, is my very good friend to the date. So I started working there, and I used to walk along the high street, talking about a mile and a half, maybe every night, walking back sort of midnight, and that's sort of Fridays and Saturdays. That environment, walking on the high street at midnight or 1 o'clock, is I want to go with picturesque.
The human condition in all its forms.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, it was all about working, going to university. I mean, I had to get a bit of a diploma, sort of a high school diploma, before being accepted. I didn't want to go, as I mentioned initially, I sort of aim high. I did not want to go to an average university. I wanted to do software engineering, and I wanted to go to a top 10 university. University of Southampton was and is a top 10 university. That's the one I wanted. But obviously I hadn't grabbed a book in years. This was English. I could speak English, but it wasn't. It's a challenge. So I guess I just went for it. I got this diploma. I did very well to a handful of universities, and I got accepted in all of them. Most people would say, "Well, I got accepted." At all of my choices. That's cool. Well done. I have a point. For me, it was. I remember I was crying. It was a really, really emotional moment because it meant so much. It meant, well, now I really can do this. It's up to me. So I joined University of Southampton. So happy. And then I started going to the lectures, and then it got hard. I was so confident that I was going to be absolutely fine. I got this diploma in 1 year. I did, I got top marks for everything. I didn't even put an effort in. I'm going to be okay. Well, it wasn't that easy. I was working. I didn't have the time. Obviously, had a wife as well. We had an apartment. We had a life. I wasn't the average student. I was 25 at the time. It was very hard. It was very, very hard to find the energy, the time, and to get back into the learning and sort of dynamic. Again, there were tears and pain, and it was extremely, extremely difficult. The second year was a lot better, and I really enjoyed the third year. It took a bit of time. Something really interesting happened. Sometimes one of the things that surprised me in England is I met a handful of people from Uruguay. The population of Uruguay is 3.4 million. It's tiny, and Uruguay is very, very far. Probably, it's sort of south of Brazil, east of Argentina, very, very far to the south in South America. It's far. It's out of the way, and the first day of my first lecture in university, I'm sitting down in this auditorium, and this, I don't know, like it's 100 people there, maybe even more. And there's this guy sitting next to me, and I start talking to him, and he's from Uruguay, and he's doing the same degree course I am doing. And it was amazing. It was mind-blowing. We became friends.
That's so funny.
He was older than most of the people. You know, I think everyone was like 18 or 19 years old. He was a bit older than that. He was like 22 or something. And we're still friends again. I'm so happy that happened. It made my life at uni so much easier. And I made a friend for life.
So then did you, so you finished uni in the UK, and then what happened? Did you have, it's like while you were during those 3 years of studying, did you have any idea of what you wanted to do, whether you wanted to stay there?
There was a huge change from me meeting Anna and getting married. You know, this is a before and after. Before that, there was no plan. I didn't really know what I was doing. After that, there was always a plan, and we've always made sure we achieved it. The summer before my last year of uni, I had this internship with Ericsson in the UK. I spent, I think, 3 months with them, and at the end of the internship, they said, we want you to come back after if you get your degree. It made me an offer, signed a contract. So that was again another really, really important moment for me. It might seem like not very much, but it was a very, very happy moment in my life. So I went through my last year of university. I really enjoyed it, and then I think I had my last exam on a Friday, and probably Monday I was in the office because I wanted to.
Very good.
And yeah, I started building my career there. I was a software engineer for a while. Then I sort of grew into leadership positions. I was curious about the bigger picture. And obviously I had just gotten my degree, but I had experienced a lot of other things, different jobs. It was like, I think at the time I had, maybe I was more mature than the average graduate. So I did very well, very, very quickly. I was lucky enough to work with some amazing people, some really, really good role models. This was a huge engineering department. It was a bunch of years that I really learned a lot. I think I spent around 10 years in the UK. Your next question is probably, why are you in Uruguay now?
Yeah, I was gonna. Let's do that. Let's wrap that timeline up, and then we'll get back into some cultural things because I'm curious about those too.
Yeah, I'm happy. I skipped a big part. At some point around there, I had my first child, Thomas.
Born in the UK.
Born in the UK. He's 5. He'll be 6 in a couple of weeks. And then about a year before moving out of the UK, Sophia was born. She's 3 today. So they're both British and Portuguese and Uruguayan.
Perfect.
Yeah. So where were we? Moving to Uruguay. Obviously, living abroad, coming from somewhere else, I think everyone must think about going back. What would it be like if I went back? I had family in Uruguay,
especially when you have children, and then it adds a whole other dimension to the relationship with your parents, so the grandparents, and all sorts of issues arise that you don't even think about before you have children.
Yes, exactly. Still, it's a big decision. At this point, I mean, I was in my 30s. My career is going well. My wife's career is going well. everything was good. We had we have friends. We in many ways I feel British. I spent there a long time. I had never had a job in Uruguay before moving back to Uruguay. I have very good friends there. I love the culture. So it was a very hard decision. We started discussing it. We were thinking mainly about our children, and how we wanted them to grow up near family, near my brothers, my sister, Anna's sisters. Anna's family is smaller in numbers, and there are a lot more spread out around the globe, and that means the obvious place to go was Uruguay, where you have fairly small country where with a small population, but where half of the population lives in Montevideo. So even though Uruguay has a tiny population, Montevideo is a small city and has like 1.5 million people. So it's quite densely populated, and all of my family and the people I love are in Montevideo mostly. So if we wanted for our children to grow up near people we love and family, Montevideo was the place. So we were thinking about it for a long time. For a very long time, we discussed it, and we never did anything about it. But like everything, sometimes things happen in life that make you, that force you to see things from a different perspective. The year before we moved, it was awful. My father got sick. He got cancer. And around the same time, someone we loved very much in Portugal passed away. That was a huge hit. My father was not doing very well. He was undergoing this awful treatment. So that was painful. That was a very painful year. Sophia was very, very young, a few months old. There was some flying to Portugal. There was some flying to Uruguay. We were doing things like I would fly with Tomas to Uruguay, and Anna would fly with Sophia to Portugal. So we spent weeks apart, which we never do. I spent weeks apart from my newborn daughter. It was very, very tough. Then went back to the UK. In January, we all went to Uruguay. We went in December to spend Christmas. We decided to spend a good month in Uruguay, and beginning of the year, my father passed away. We were there. We flew back to the UK shortly after, but that was the year that showed us that career and stability, and that's not all. There are some things that you don't really get back. Sorry, I'm sort of making this conversation a bit sad right now, but it is really what happened.
And this is, it's what motivates a lot of people. And sometimes it is the tragic events that kind of force that. Some things are just so much clearer, the priorities you have in life.
Yeah. We were sort of shifting away from focusing on anything. We were focusing on our family.
Yeah.
And we flew back to the UK, and we decided it's time to give it a serious try. So we decided to come up with a new plan, like we do, and we looked into what would need to happen in order for this to be a successful project. And we came up with a bit of a plan, and I started talking to some contacts, talking to some people. I got offered a few jobs until I got offered a job from a British company that had a software department in Montevideo.
Perfect fit.
Exactly. It seemed like the perfect sort of first step into the country. And we went for it. In the middle of all of that, Sophia was a baby. Anna was very smart, and she decided, she was doing market research in the UK. She was on maternity leave at the time, and she decided she can think ahead and sort of look forward in time and understand things in a level of detail that I cannot. And she saw what was going to happen, and she thought, I will become an English teacher. This is something I can do, and this is something that is going to allow me to spend time with my kids when they are at home,
Right.
when they have holidays. I will be able to be there for them. And she did, and it was very hard. We had our house was we moved from Southampton to Montevideo. We loaded a container with our belongings and our car, and we moved, and we ended up in Uruguay, and here we are.
Yeah, so it's been a few years now.
It's been probably 2.5 years that we've been in Uruguay. It has been challenging. Probably one of the biggest challenges we've ever faced. Very, very long time ago, I realized that I no longer belonged to a single place. That I wasn't Uruguayan, as I am, but I am not. If this might sound confusing, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
I know. Yep.
Because I was, yes, I was a child and a teenager in Uruguay, but then I was a young adult in the US, and then I spent 10 years, some of the best years of my life so far, in the UK, which gave me friends, and it's embedded into who I am, and it gave me my children, and I love England, and I love Portugal, and all of these places are part of who I am.
It's something I think that happens with your psyche. I think, especially when you leave and you're young and you kind of feel you're doing your growing up somewhere else, and then you have all these influences, but also having a partner who has gone through those steps too. I think it's that plays a big part in that as well.
It really
because
does.
it really connects you on a different level.
It does. It is, however, hard to process the fact that at some point you realize that you no longer belong in the country that saw you, grow up, and that you don't belong anywhere really. There isn't a single place where you belong until you sort of flip around and you say, well, I belong everywhere. My wife would say we're citizens of the world. I don't love the term, but I do feel like I belong anywhere and everywhere.
And it's like you said, it's a hard reality, because that's not something you think about when you're a child. You kind of, you think you're a child and you have a home and that's where your family is, and then you break out of that, and then your whole that reality is gone, and then you have to kind of reinvent yourself and come to terms with it and say, but that's okay. I can be okay even if I don't have that one place.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Absolutely.
that becomes part of you, and I find that in people who haven't moved, and they ask questions like, oh, when are you moving? Where are you coming back home? Or you come back? And he's like, but back where? It's not, there isn't, it's not, that's not
There
really
isn't.
the
No.
reality. And
because I'm no longer the person you knew at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see where you, as your children grow up, what they decide to do, and if they probably have it in them because of you. And I imagine that you kind of, you pass on your traditions and things from all these places, and so they grow up with that more global mindset, and they might then end up going somewhere else, and they have all those passports. So
we are, yeah, they do. We are trying really hard for them to feel like they belong everywhere.
And do they do so you speak Spanish with them, and your wife speaks Portuguese with them? Do you do that? Or kind of, is it a mix of everything? And do you speak English with each other?
When we were in the UK, the rule was I only speak Spanish, Anna only speaks Portuguese, and they will speak English everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Then we moved to Uruguay. So the rule now is slightly more complicated. We speak English at home, apart from weekends or holidays. Weekends and holidays, Anna will speak Portuguese. I speak English, unless I'm talking to Anna. Then I speak in Portuguese. It's a bit complicated.
Yeah.
We've got books as well. They've got the books organized by. They've got little country flags on the shelf with the books, and they will every night we read some books, and they will say, "Well, tonight I want a book from England," he'll say, or a book from Portugal, or a book from Uruguay.
That's so cool, though. And I think that side of the multilingual parenting is just, it's so hard, because people always assume that the children will just soak it all up and just speak everything fluently, and that's not the case at all. And even if you do the same thing with both of them, they will decide to do their own thing, and it's crazy and it's fascinating. But I feel like just being exposed to it from a young age, they'll take from it what's right for them, and you can only kind of give them a few guidelines. But
I think if you put in the effort, you can really, like Sophia learned to speak in Uruguay. She didn't talk when we she was 1 year old or under 1 year old, and she speaks English. She speaks much better English than she does Spanish.
Fascinating. I love all that. I love watching it, and it's great to see kids just switch between, and it's like my kids, even they switch between British and American English.
That's fantastic. It's not only about the language, is it? It's also about things like the food.
Absolutely.
Or what time do you have dinner? We have dinner at 6:30, 7 p.m. at the latest. They are in bed at 7:30, sometimes a bit later. That's Uruguay is very Spanish in that sense. Everyone has dinner at 10 p.m., 10:30, 11. We are so weird for everyone else.
Let's talk a little bit about the your time in the UK. And you said you love England, you love the country. Is there what when you think back now, what is it? What do you miss the most from the UK?
Good question. It's hard to pinpoint. I'm not going to say I miss fish and chips, because I don't. Well, I do, but it's not as simple as that. It was a long time. As I said, it's a part of me. I do feel British in many ways. So what do I miss? Everything, to be from the awful weather, the landscapes, the cities, how people behave, how people treat each other, the food, everything. I do miss everything. I've been lucky enough to go back to the UK probably 4 times a year over the past.
Oh, you have to with work. Yeah.
Yes. So I go very often.
You get your let you get a little fix.
Yes, absolutely. But yes, it's a bit of everything. I'd say mostly, if you had to pick one thing, I'd say the people.
What is it about the people? I mean, they are very unique people. I think they're very complicated people, but fascinating. And yeah,
I was thinking about the people I like, my friends, the people I love, but I love the people in the sort of generic term. How do I describe them?
When there was that sense of humor and that not taking yourself too seriously, I think that's what I miss sometimes. That very dry kind of self-deprecating sense of humor where you just don't get that.
I find it hilarious. If I look at stand-up comedy, and I love the British.
Yes,
I really like it.
Oh my God! Have you have Netflix, right? So you're
Yes,
just saying it. Have you seen the latest Michael McIntyre?
No,
You need
not
to.
yet.
It's just come out. We just watched it like 2 weeks ago. Michael McIntyre, and he's. I mean, he could be really annoying. But this latest one is. Look it up. You will. I was on the floor laughing. It was so funny.
I'll
It's
look
the
it up.
best thing
I'll
that
look it up.
I've seen recently from a British stand-up. It's just absolutely hilarious.
I feel very identified with the British, the male immaturity, and
Yeah. Mhm.
I think it's amazing. I can get together with friends my age, and they still behave in the same way. There's that really, really naive immaturity, that funny. I love it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Anything you don't miss?
Look, the the weather was a problem often, and it sounds silly, but it's not. You must.
Yeah.
It's very grey. It, it's not. It doesn't rain like. Well, that's something that surprised me. Moved to the UK, it doesn't really rain that often or that much at all. It's not the rain. It's grey.
Yeah.
A lot of the time is grey, and then as you're going towards the winter and during the winter time, it's awful. The day is so short. It's like during winter, it's 4:30 p.m. and it's dark night.
Yeah.
I do not miss that.
Mhm.
That's a bit depressing.
Now that you're back, well, I don't want to say now that you're back in Uruguay, because it's almost like it's a new place to be in some ways. What do you really, really love about Uruguay and being where you are now that you didn't have in the UK?
My family,
Mm.
friends.
Mhm.
I get the chance to see my kids build these relationships, this love with my brothers, with my sister, with my mom, with my whole family, with friends. It's watching them grow up um, next to these people I love, and
Yeah.
observing how they receive all of this love as well.
Yeah.
That's definitely it. The weather is a lot better.
Yeah. What's a typical food that you enjoy now, like that you wouldn't have ever had in the UK or not been able to cook in the UK? I don't know anything about Uruguayan cuisine.
It's strong Italian and Spanish influence. So lots of pasta, Spanish, like things like tortillas or cachos or paellas. That sort of thing is you can see that in the food, and there's a lot of barbecue. So they say, I don't know if this story is true or not, but they say that back in couple hundred years ago, when the gauchos, the sort of the cowboys, were roaming the lands, they sort of had this rule where they could kill a cow to eat. All they had to do was to leave the leather by the entrance of the house of the owner of the land. So you can kill a cow if you're hungry. You can eat it. All you need to do is leave the leather here for me, because then they would trade on it. So that sort of started a huge beef and sort of barbecue eating culture. So today, everyone eats what we call asado, and asado is basically a huge barbecue where you grill all sorts of things, and it's really good. But you can have a barbecue in the UK. I think the one thing I missed was fresh pasta. There's a huge culture of fresh pasta, like either homemade or you go to the shops that sell you freshly made pasta, not the dry stuff or the packaged up stuff that you buy in Sainsbury's. It's like really fresh with the flour falling off the edge. That's really good.
I always like to ask this at the end, and I'm going to ask you this with a view of the UK as the place that you left behind. Is there anything that you do, or you cook, or a tradition that you brought with you from the UK that you do now when you feel kind of homesick for the UK, or that where you feel like you want to share that with your children?
The short answer is no.
Mhm.
And the only reason is because we try to bring so much more than a single thing. We will listen to BBC Radio 1. We watch British television.
Yeah.
We have dinner at sort of the
Yes, you
English
said
time.
6:30.
We we talk a lot about England and the UK. They've got a poster of the country in their bedroom. We always remember that they are British, that we are. I'm a British citizen as well.
Yeah, it's part of you.
It's a huge part of our lives. It's not something that we. Although I have to say that probably personally myself, I my thing, and really giving you a simple answer to your question, would be a good pint of craft beer. That's the thing that brings me back to the UK more often.
What's beer culture like in Uruguay? Because I feel like in the last 10 years, craft beer culture has been, it's here in Texas, but it's also even in Germany, where they're so traditional with what goes into your beer, and now there's all these little niche craft breweries.
Yes. So when I think about beer in the UK, I'm thinking about a good ale or a nice pint of Guinness. So I love a good pint of room temperature ale.
Wow.
Lots of people will hate it.
Yeah.
But I really like it. In Uruguay, historically, it was all lager. Not very good lager, if I'm honest. But lager. Lately, over the past few years, I think the same phenomenon can be observed. There's a shift towards better quality beer, craft beer, and you can actually find a number of pubs. The same in England, because in England you always have the pint of ale, the Guinness, the
usual stuff on
now you
tap.
have exactly. But now you have this craft beer sort of pubs, and it's the same here. Over the past few years, they popped up everywhere.
So with your background of living in various countries with all those different languages, do you have any funny stories, anything funny or embarrassing that happened along the way?
I've got two. The first one is in Portugal. Portuguese and Spanish are similar. Share the same origin. It's similar words. It's easy to learn one if you know one. It's easy to learn the other. Anyway, I'm building up my Portuguese skills. I'm feeling confident. And with my wife, we go to the shops, and I need to buy batteries. And so I get to the till, and I say, "Can I please have pila?" Pila is a battery in Spanish. However, in Portuguese, it's not pila, it's pilha. There's an H there. The meaning of pila is penis. So effectively, I said, "Can I please have a penis?" And everyone started laughing around me.
Very nice.
That was a bit embarrassing.
Was your wife there as well? Did she die?
Yes, of course she was. She reminds me of this. It's built to the dinner conversation, dinner topic. Sometimes when there's people, she loves it. And the other one is in the UK. This guy, the manager in this restaurant I used to work, Jamie, very, very good friend, love him so much. We had just met. We had been working together for a couple of weeks, and we were very busy Saturday night, and he asks me something about a table, and the table number is table 2. And I say, there's so many people around, and I say, I'm going to say table 2, but this is so loud that I need to use the sign. Now, I hadn't been exposed to the meaning of where the fingers are facing.
Yeah.
So I said 2, and he looked at me, and he's like, and he
up yours too.
Exactly.
So we have to, for the listeners, we're also not
Yes.
familiar with the. So there is in the US and in a lot of other places, you raise your middle finger. That's kind of the universal sign, but in the UK, they like to add to the middle finger. They like to add the pointer finger. So it's two fingers, and it's if you face them outwards, it's the V sign, victory,
Or the number 2.
or the number 2. That's right. So it again, that's different. In Germany, you use the thumb and the pointer finger for the 2.
All right.
So there are all these differences, and if you use the middle finger and the pointer finger, but you you don't face out but inwards to you, then it's essentially the middle finger, and it's it's very rude. But of course, your British friend would have made something out of the situation. I can see that. Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
Very nice.
You know where the story? You know where it comes from?
What
this signaling with the fingers? Again, I
go for it.
Can't remember the source of this information, but they say it comes from when the English were at war with the French. The English had these longbows and these really good archers. So when the French captured them, they would chop their fingers off, these 2 fingers. So when they still had the fingers, they would do that.
Yes. Oh my God! Of course. See, I've learned something there. Fantastic. I had no idea where it came from. Wonderful.
Someone told me that story, and I love it, so I'm sticking to it.
Thank you very much. Well, it's been really nice talking to you, Oscar. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I know it's really late where you are. It's certainly late where I am.
Stephanie, thank you very much. This was lovely. Lovely conversation. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Bye. So that was Oscar's story. As I said in my introduction, I was really inspired by it. It was just so fascinating to talk to someone so brutally honest about his own search for his place in the world and his sense of identity, and what a bloody struggle it is to get there. Overcoming your own limitations, whether they are financial issues or language difficulties, and trying not to compare yourself with your peers and all those things, while staying focused on your own goals and looking after your family from far away. It's quite a story. And that's it from me for today. There's not much to say. Hang in there, stay well, stay sane. Make sure you take time for some self-care. Get out in nature. Let the winter weather, wherever you are, blast the cobwebs away. Soak up the vitamin D and keep wearing your masks. See you next time.